What's going on YouTube? This is Austin here from Austin, Dakota, coming at you again with another video for you guys today. And today, welcome to part 5 of my old school rap CD collection. We are almost done with my old school rap CD collection. I think the next genre I'm going to tackle will be country, and then that'll be it for my CD collections, or for the CD collection videos, I should say. So without any further ado, let's jump right into part 5. So the last time I talked about was Kool G Rap with 456 in 1995. Like I said, great album. Next album, 50 Cent with The Massacre, came out in 2005. This is 2 years after his debut, commercial debut album, Get Rich or Die Trying, which brought him mainstream success. This album, in my opinion, is very good. Is it just as good as Get Rich or Die Trying? Somewhat. I still somewhat prefer Get Rich or Die Trying, which I have right here. Some ways more than one. I prefer, like I said, I prefer Get Rich or Die Trying. But back to The Massacre. The Massacre is pretty dope. I really like this one a lot. I mean, production by Dr. Dre, Eminem, and 50 Cent himself. Absolutely amazing. Singles off this album are Disco Inferno, Candy Shop, which was a big one, Just a Little Bit, and Out of Control. My favorite tracks off the album are Piggy Bank, Gatman and Robin, Out of Control, Get in My Car, Rider Music, Disco Inferno, Build You Up, God Gave Me Style. Man, that song goes extra hard. But yeah, love this album. To me, in my opinion, this is just my opinion here, these two albums by 50 Cent, so Get Rich or Die Trying, and The Massacre, these two albums are his only good albums, in my opinion. Like I said, I'd say Get Rich or Die Trying and The Massacre. Like I said, these two are his only good albums, in my humble opinion. Anything after The Massacre, I tail off. I can't listen to anything after The Massacre. That's pretty sad to say, because 50 could have had a heck of a run if he did what he did, like what he did on The Massacre, but I mean, you can't win them all, but there you go. 50 Cent, The Massacre, released in 2005. Definitely check that album out. Alright, next album is going to be Capone Noriega, The War Report, released in 1997. This, to me, put East Coast on the map, because a lot of people don't know this. This was right in the middle of the East Coast, West Coast beef between the East Coast and the West Coast rappers. Very, 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 very good album. I haven't listened to this album in a long time. It's been a while. But from what I heard, this album is absolutely amazing and easily one of my favorites of all time. Just absolutely love this one. The reunion I don't have. I don't know if I'll get the reunion. I don't know if I'll get it, but we'll see. Singles off this album are LALA, Illegal Life, TONY, and Closer. But for them to go after West Coast, especially the Dog Pound with the song LALA, that takes a lot of guts to do. And in my opinion, Capone Noriega outdid the Dog Pound, in my honest opinion. But yeah, songs to listen to on the album, Bloody Money, Driver's Seat, Parole Violators, TONY, obviously, the single, one of the singles, Halfway Thugs, Parole Violators. I love Parole Violators. But yeah, definitely check this album out if you haven't already. Capone Noriega, The War Report, released in 1997. Very, very good. The essential hip-hop right there, man. Alright, next album is going to be Cypress Hill with their third album, Temples of Boom, released in 1995. This, to me, is the best Cypress Hill album. I think the production on this album is much more darker and grittier than on Black Sunday, which I do like Black Sunday, but I just think this album is just a bit more dark. It's more darker than Black Sunday, but yeah, absolutely love it. They go after West Side Connection on the song No Rest for the Wicked. I forget what the beef was about, but I think it was not Mac 10, WC that wasn't. It was either WC or Mac 10 that wasn't on the track King of the Hill because they were actually chill with Cypress Hill. But yeah, definitely check this album out. Singles off this album are Throw Your Set in the Air, Illusions, and Boom Biddy Bye Bye. Boom Biddy Bye Bye. As far as that song goes, the Fugees remix on the unreleased and revamped EP. Oh my god. Dope version. Definitely check out the Fugees remix if you're not familiar with Cypress Hill, or if you're not familiar with the song Boom Biddy Bye Bye. The first three Cypress Hill albums are the good Cypress Hill albums, so definitely check this album out. Cypress Hill with 3 or Temples of Boom, released in 1995. 95? Yeah, 95. But yeah, definitely check this album out. My 3 favorite tracks off the album, Throw Your Set in the Air, Illusions, Make a Move, California, Red Light Visions, Everybody Must Get Stoned. Yeah, I love this album. Definitely check it out. So that's Cypress Hill with Temples of Boom, released in 1995. Alright, next album, DMX. It's Dark and Hell is Hot, released in 1998. Again, like I said in part 4, people are saying the 90s, or someone said the 90s isn't old school. This was a big album in 1998. This album and the next album I'm going to talk about. This is DMX's first debut album. In my opinion, if it wasn't for DMX, we wouldn't have the Rough Riders as we know it today. Yeah, absolutely love this album. Unpopular opinion, a lot of people prefer Flesh My Flesh, Blood of My Blood, but this is my favorite DMX album. Just everything about it is absolutely incredible. He's pushing horrorcore, taking a lot of drugs at this time. But if you like the dark beats that DMX did, then you will definitely enjoy this album. Singles off this album are Get At Me Dog, which was the big single, Stop Being Greedy, Rough Riders Anthem, and How's It Going Down. I remember, I wasn't born in 98, but I remember how big Rough Riders Anthem was. That was like one of the big songs. But yeah, I love this album. Best tracks on the album are Rough Riders Anthem, Messin' With D, Get At Me Dog, X Is Coming. I love X Is Coming. Especially how they do it like Freddy. Like, 1, 2, X is coming for you. I love X is Coming. Stop Being Greedy. Stop Being Greedy and X is Coming is like the 2 best tracks on the album, in my opinion. But yeah, definitely check this album out if you haven't already. If you're not familiar with DMX, definitely check this album out. DMX with It's Dark and Hell is Hot, released in 1988. Dope album. Sorry, I'm doing a little bit of rearranging here. Alright, next album. We're going to stick with DMX. And that would be Flesh My Flesh, Blood of My Blood, released in 1998. Obviously, the same year as It's Dark and Hell is Hot. I believe, if I'm correct, DMX and Nas are the only 2 rappers to actually put out a rap album in the same year, I believe. Someone let me know if I'm wrong. But yeah, Flesh My Flesh, Blood of My Blood, just as good as just as good as It's Dark and Hell is Hot. But the beats, in my opinion, they're not as dark as It's Dark and Hell is Hot. They're not as dark as that album. But yeah, this is a very good album. My opinion, the first 4 DMX albums are the best DMX albums, in my honest opinion. Singles off this album are Slippin' and No Love for Me with Switz Beats and Drag On. Best tracks on the album, in my opinion, are... I don't know, because this is a really good album. I'd probably put this on par. Bring Your Whole Crew. Love that album. The first official track on the album. Ain't No Way. It's All Good. The Omen. Love it. Self-titled track. Ready to Meet Him. Yeah, I love this album. So definitely check this album out. DMX with Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood. Released in '98. Highly recommended. Alright, sticking with DMX, we have... And then there was X, released in 1999. So, 1 year after... 1 year after Flesh of My Flesh. But yeah, this is really good too. This was, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, one of his best-selling albums to date. I like DMX, but his early stuff is just absolutely incredible. He wasn't starting to go downhill on this album. He was a little bit, but at the same time, though, the sound was there for DMX. And yeah, this was a big album. Big album. Alright, the singles off the album are What's My Name, Party Up, which was the big single, What These Girls Want, I can't say the actual name, but you know what I mean. Best tracks on the album, One More Road to Cross, Here We Go Again, What These Girls Want with Cisco, Don't You Ever. But yeah, I love this album. This is a really good album. If you like DMX before he kind of went downhill, and the reason I say that is because when he put out like Grand Champ and Year of the Dog, I just started losing interest in DMX. But yeah, definitely check this album out. DMX, and then there was X, released in 1999. Really good album. If you like DMX, if you like his time in Rough Riders, then you'll definitely really like that album. Alright, The Game. We're going from east to west. The Game with the documentary. This was released in 2005. I freaking love this album. It's like I said with Madvillainy, there's not a single bad track on this album. And I think the early 2000s was big as well. And there's a reason for that, because you had The Game coming onto the scene with the album The Documentary. You had 50 Cent with Get Rich or Die Tryin'. A lot of big albums coming out in the early 2000s, I mean. But yeah, The Game's The Documentary is absolutely incredible. Really, really good stuff. Dr. Dre and 50 Cent, two of the rap legends in the game, producing this album. Yeah, I really like this album a lot. There's some good features on here too. Eminem's on here, Nate Dogg, 50 Cent's featured on a song. There's 6 singles off the album, and the singles are West Side Story, How We Do, Hate It or Love It, Higher, Dreams, and Put You on the Game. Best tracks for me on this album, I'd say Hate It or Love It. Hate It or Love It was actually my introduction to the game. How We Do. Don't Need Your Love, I love that one. Start From Scratch, oh my gosh, yes. No More Fun and Games, oh my god. The beat off that, man, love it. But yeah, The Game with the documentary released in 2005. If you don't own this album, I don't know what to tell you. Go pick it up. Alright, next up we have, this is a compilation album, The Best of DMX, released in 2010. Yeah, my honest opinion, it's really good. I like this compilation album. Not a lot to say about this album, but it does have X Gonna Give It To Ya. Yeah, good stuff on here, very good stuff. So yeah, Best of DMX, 2010. Alright, next up, Eazy-E with Easy Does It, released in 1988. His first solo album without NWA. Very good. I like this one. Obviously, Eazy-E, like I said, just a legend in the rap game. Singles off this album are Easy Does It, We Want Easy, and Easier Said Than Done. I'd say Eazy-E and Ruthless Villain are the best tracks off the album. Yeah, definitely check this album out. Eazy-E with Easy Does It, released in 1988. So yeah, definitely check this album out. Next up, Eminem, the Marshall Mathers LP, released in 2000. Speaking of the early 2000s, this was a big album that came out in the early 2000s. Yes, absolutely love this album. I'd say this album is my favorite Eminem album. For good reason. The beats and the production is absolutely dark. In my opinion, darker than this Slim Shady LP. But yeah, love this album. Definitely check this one out if you're not into Eminem already. Singles off the album are The Real Slim Shady, The Way I Am, Stan, I'm Back, and Please Too. You obviously should know the first name or the first letter in that album title. But yeah, I would definitely check this album out. Best tracks on the album, I'd say The Way I Am, The Real Slim Shady, Marshall Mathers, Drug Ballad. Kim was a really dark song, and that got this album a lot of controversy just based on that song alone. But yeah, definitely if you're into Eminem, definitely check this album out. Eminem, Marshall Mathers LP, released in 2000. Definitely check this album out. I already know I'm gonna get comments saying, oh, the 2000s isn't old school. Well, I've already explained how it is old school, so I don't want to see any negative comments in the comment section when I go to put out this video. Next up, Eric B. and Rakim is their third album, Let the Rhythm Hit 'Em, released in 1990. I mentioned this in either part 1 or part 2, that this is my favorite album by Eric B. and Rakim. I have Paid in Full. I'm just missing Follow the Leader and Don't Sweat the Technique. But this is my favorite album by Eric B. and Rakim. The beats, the production, Eric B. doing the beats, absolutely incredible. Definitely one of their bigger albums. Singles off this album are Let the Rhythm Hit 'Em, In the Ghetto, and Mahogany. Mahogany being the best track in my honest opinion. But yes, I would highly recommend this album, or any of the other Eric B. and Rakim albums, if you're not into Eric B. and Rakim already. Definitely check these guys out. Eric B. and Rakim with Let the Rhythm Hit 'Em, released in 1990. Dope album. Alright, next up, we're going to go to some solo Wu-Tang. And we are going to go to Ghostface Killah, Iron Man, released in 1996. Yes, very good, very good. I didn't get into Ghostface Killah until I listened to him in Wu-Tang, and then I listened to him again when he did Wu Banga 101 off Supreme Clientele. But yeah, very good. In my opinion, Ghostface best album. But this was when Ghostface Killah was hungry, and he was focused and determined. But yeah, really good. Produced by the RZA. Produced by the RZA. Singles off this album are All That I Got Is You, Daytona 500, and Motherless Child. So yeah, definitely one to check out if you're not familiar with Wu-Tang, or you're not familiar with Ghostface Killah. Check this album out and check out his time in Wu-Tang. But yeah, Ghostface Killah with Iron Man, released in 1996. Definitely check this album out. So then we have the album right before it, Genius GZA, or GZA, Liquid Swords. This was released in 1995. This, to me, is one of the best Wu-Tang albums ever made. This is my second favorite solo Wu, or my second favorite solo album by a Wu member. My favorite being Only Built for Cuban Links. But yes, I love this album. He recorded all this in RZA's basement. Yes, very, very good album. I love this album. I think GZA is one of the more underrated members of Wu-Tang. Right there next to Ghostface Killah and Inspectah Deck. Which, speaking of which, I need to get some Inspectah Deck. But, it's neither here nor there. Sorry, my phone's going off because it's just going off. Singles off the album are I Got Your Back, Liquid Swords, Cold World, Shadowboxing, with the B-side being Fourth Chamber. Definitely check this album out. The production, if you like Wu-Tang's first couple of albums, then you will definitely like this album. So yeah, GZA with Liquid Swords, released in 1995. Definitely check this album out. Alright, next up, Jay-Z. His sixth album, The Blueprint, released in 2001. Hip-hop classic regarded by many, and rightfully so. This album alone really, really put hip-hop back on the map. This album was released the same year as Stillmatic, and right in the middle of the Jay-Z Nas beef, because Jay-Z dissed him on the song Takeover, but then Nas fired back with Ether. I talked about it in part 5, but I think Nas did a better job. Jay-Z didn't do too bad. It's just, in my opinion, Nas did the best job in dissing Jay-Z. Singles off this album are Izzo, or Hova, Girls, 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 Jigga That Neighbor, and Song Cry. Yes, I would definitely recommend this album. Definitely check this album out. If you haven't heard it already, definitely check this album out. Jay-Z, The Blueprint, released in 2001. Love it. Alright, I'll show these last 3 albums, and then that will be it for part 5. Alright, next up is an album that I've been wanting for a while. I saw it in It's a Spin It, showed it in his video, so I'm going to show it here. Del the Funky Homo Sapien, I Wish My Brother George Was Here, released in 1991. Saying the 90s isn't old school? Hello! 90s right here. This is 90s hip-hop at its finest, in my opinion. Del the Funky Homo Sapien, one of the more underrated rappers of all time. Yeah, I absolutely love I Wish My Brother George Was Here. I think he changed his name to Deltron 3030. I think. I don't know. Someone comment and let me know if I'm wrong. Yeah, singles off this album are Sleeping on My Couch, Mr. Dabalina. Mr. Dabalina. Oh my god. Love it. And Dr. Bombay. Best tracks off the album are The Wacky World of Rapid Transit, Dr. Bombay, Mr. Dabalina being the best, Sleeping on My Couch, You Little Crumb Snatchers. Yeah, man. Definitely check this album out. But yeah, Del the Funky Homo Sapien, I Wish My Brother George Was Here, released in 1991. Definitely check this album out. Alright, next up, G-Unit. I had the disc for this, but that disc is long gone, so I had to buy the whole thing again. G-Unit, Beg for Mercy. This was released in 2003. This is 50 Cent, Young Buck, and I'm trying to think. It's 50 himself, Young Buck, and Lloyd Banks, I think. Someone let me know if I'm wrong in the comments. But yeah, this was right at the peak of 50 Cent when he was coming onto the scene. Yeah. Yes, love this album. This is a great album. This is a very, very good album by G-Unit. Very good album. Singles off this album are Stunt 101, Pumpin' Them Things, Wanna Get to Know You, and Smile. Badass Somebody, one of the best tracks, Wanna Get to Know You, obviously. Footprints. I freaking love Footprints off this album. So definitely check this album out if you haven't already. G-Unit with Beg for Mercy, released in 2003. Definitely check this album out. And the last album I'm going to show for this part is Warren G. Regulate G-Funk Era, released in 1994. One of the big albums that came out in the 90s. Absolutely love this album. My opinion, better than Take a Look Over Your Shoulder. I didn't like Take a Look Over Your Shoulder. But yeah, this is very good. One of the big albums that came out in the 90s. The beats are there. It's West Coast. But yes, absolutely love this album. Singles off the album are Regulate, which was obviously the big song off the album, This DJ, and Do You See. Regulate obviously being the big one. I love it. Gangsta Sermon, Super Soul Sis. This is The Shack. Good Lord, I love that song. There was even a Regulate remix on here, which was really cool. But yeah, definitely check this album out if you haven't already. Warren G with Regulate G-Funk Era, released in 1994. Highly recommend it. Alright guys, so that is it. That's it for part 5 of my old school rap CD collection. Come on back for part 6. Part 6 will be the final part of my old school rap CD collection. So we're going to be talking about some discographies. We're going to be talking about studio discographies. So we're talking Tribe Called Quest and Tupac. So come on back for part 6. Thank you guys very much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video, please comment, like, subscribe down below. Be sure you hit that bell so that way you don't miss any more videos like this in the near future. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next video.